Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 38th episode of In the Trenches, Kroll's weekly cyber threat intelligence briefing. My name is Keith Wojcicki, Global Head of Threat Intelligence. This week, we are joined by George Glass, Mukesh Nagar, Dave Truman, Ryan Hicks, and of course, Sarah Becker to go through our ransomware roundup, and they're all from our cyber threat intelligence team. Today is February 20th, 2024, and we will be covering the most recent trends that we're seeing in the trenches. So let's talk news you can use for February 20th, 2024. The U.S. Department of State has announced a $10 million bounty through the Transnational Organized Crime Rewards Program for information leading to the identification of individuals associated with the ransomware group Hive following the takedown of their infrastructure. An additional $5 million reward is available for information on individuals engaging in or planning activities related to Hive. Also, rewards are offered for information on Black Hat group members and threat actors involved in Alpha V ransomware attacks with bounties of $5 million each. So it seems like the Department of State has taken a decisive action against cyber threats by offering these substantial rewards for information on these groups. This really could lead to incentivize individuals to come forward with valuable intel and potentially leading to the breakthroughs in combating all this crazy cybercrime we're witnessing today. If you have any questions or concerns about this announcement, please contact Kroll at cti@kroll.com. That's cti@kroll.com. Now let's get into today's briefing. Today we're going to be covering the following trends our team is concentrating on. The ConnectWise, it's been a little alert there from George is going to go over that. Also, he's going to talk about Patch Tuesday. QR code phishing targeting executives. That's a new one, and we're going to have Ryan discuss that. RASPBERRYROBIN, BUMBLEBEE, not the Transformer. And again, Sarah's going to talk about Ransomware Roundup. So with that, George, ConnectWise has fixed two vulnerabilities in Screen Connect that could allow attackers to execute the remote code. Can you provide further intel on this?
Hi, Keith. Yeah, definitely. So ConnectWise have patched two vulnerabilities affecting the Screen Connect platform. CVE numbers are to be determined, but the CVE score that was given to the vulnerabilities was 10. Some interesting news from us is that the vulnerabilities were discovered by a Kroll analyst and responsibly disclosed last week, and ConnectWise have published the patches as of the 19th of February. The CTI team has seen the POC code. It is incredibly impactful vulnerability, allowing for the creation of administrative access and remote code execution. So those that are running on-premise instances of ConnectWise Screen Connect, update to version 23.9.8 at least. Continuing on the theme of patches, let's go through Patch Tuesday. Some really interesting stuff in here. Last week, 80 vulnerabilities were patched, 2 zero-day vulnerabilities as described by Microsoft, 30 remote code execution vulnerabilities, and 16 privilege escalation ones. There are three that I want to draw people's attention to. The first one, CVE 2024-21351, CVSS score 7.6. This is another smart screen security feature bypass vulnerability that was announced to have been exploited in the wild by Microsoft. That essentially allows a malicious actor to inject code into the smart screen prompt and achieve code execution that way. And then the two most interesting vulnerabilities, I think, first of all, CVE 2024-21412, an internet shortcut files security feature bypass. We saw a lot of discussion around vulnerabilities using URL shortcut files towards the end of last year. It was found that there is another bypass to some previous patches. Essentially, a threat actor can trick a user into clicking a specially crafted shortcut file that is designed to bypass security checks to get displayed, again, similar to Smart Screen, that allows a threat actor to remotely execute code on the target system. Additionally, CVE 2024-21413, CVSS score of 9.8 affects Microsoft Outlook, has a industry term of moniker link, as described by Checkpoint. This particular vulnerability was not exploited at the time of patching, but I can tell you right now there is POC code out there, a number of proof of concept scripts. We expect to see exploitation of this vulnerability in the very short term. This allows an attacker to, again, bypass some of the protected view features in Microsoft Outlook. That can be used to exfiltrate NTLM hashes that we talked about in the January patch Tuesday, but also arbitrarily execute remote code. As I said before, this vulnerability has been termed moniker link by Checkpoint researchers, and the link to their research on that is in the full report. And with that, I will hand back to Keith. Thank you very much.
Thanks, George, for the intel. Really appreciate that, especially for the patches for Patch Tuesday. Ryan, everyone wants to scan QR code and see what's behind the door. Unfortunately, threat actors are taking advantage of this and targeting, these specific victims with executives. Can you elaborate on this and, talk about this new attack?
Yeah, thanks, Keith. Hi, everyone. So there have been several trend reports published just last week identifying C-suite executives being the focus for social engineering campaigns lately, particularly, as you say, those that involve QR code phishing. We first saw QR codes emerging as part of phishing attempts just in August last year, often spoofing Microsoft security logins. So it's kind of a relatively new technique being adopted. We saw being adopted quite quickly, and of course, this recent trends show that it's being used certainly widespread into this year. Now, the targeting of executive positions has kind of multiple benefits really in these kind of cloud accounts, including perhaps the access that they may have to company data, but also the reach and weight they actually hold within organizations. So that kind of reach could be used potentially or could and has been used really to deliver further phishing internally that will likely be more impactful coming from the kind of C-suite executive compared to other employees. Data analyzed by the company Abnormal displays a large disparity of individuals targeted by recent QR code phishing attempts based on whether they are executive or other employee, and that's that diagram that they have provided at the bottom there. And in similar reporting, Proofpoint also revealed they have monitoring ongoing for a campaign, again aimed at the account takeover of Azure cloud accounts, and they also note the frequent targeting. An increased targeting of these this level of employee, including sort of sales directors, chief financial executives, CEOs, among those kind of increased targeting. And in the case of Proofpoint observations, following the account compromise, threat actor observed performing kind of a number of activities, including multi-factor authentication changes, data exfiltration because of that kind of increased access that may have to data, and as I mentioned, they were seen doing internal phishing and financial fraud within the company, so that's where they were sending emails from the executive to the financial teams to sort of carry out the fraud internally as if it were legitimate activity. So really it's worth noting that although QR code phishing is fairly recent, as I said, August we sort of started seeing it. Detections are beginning to be implemented for some endpoint solutions. So in the end of December, Microsoft stated that Defender for Office 365 had various blocking and alerting detections in place for QR code phishing. But as threat actors continue to adapt to protections being rolled out, that kind of a layered defense continues to be important. So kind of a mixture of technical mitigations plus user awareness on the kind of threats from QR code phishing. And that's particularly important as actors will no doubt sort of see the detections in place that are being rolled out, and they'll kind of adapt and change their techniques in accordance with these detections to see if they can get around them. So that kind of layer defense is always important in this case as well. So yeah, that's all from me. I'll hand back to Keith. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan, for the update. Yeah, this is something that it's addictive to scan those things and make sure we're paying attention to what we're doing with that. And it's just regular phishing, basic mitigation strategies. So Mukesh, Raspberry Robin has been around for a little bit, but it's getting more sophisticated to track and identify, which is kind of scary. Can you provide us the details surrounding the stealthy behavior they have?
Of course, Keith, and hi everybody. So, as Keith just mentioned, Raspberry Robin has been around for a while now, and since it first released, it has continuously undergone multiple developments, with the developers continuously evolving and incorporating additional features, additional ways of circumventing detections, carrying out, implementing evasion tactics, and as well as expanding on their distribution methods. One of the strategies that has been employed and has been utilized is the use of embedding fake payloads within the source code of Raspberry Robin. The main purpose of these fake payloads is not to cause any harm, but to just confuse researchers and get them spending more time on something where they don't need efforts to be spent on. However, the most recent version of Raspberry Robin that's currently out in the wild and being deployed has undergone a few more development and additional features incorporated. One of these features being utilizing two recently revealed one-day local privilege escalation exploits within the source code. This will suggest that the developer has the capability to access these source codes of one-day vulnerabilities prior to being released into the public, so they're able to implement it in Raspberry Robin. The two vulnerabilities that have currently been observed within our Raspberry Robin are CVE 2023-36802 and CVE 2023-29360. Now, although these two are vulnerabilities from 2023, they both allow for local privilege escalation. CVE 2023-36802 is a local privilege escalation within Microsoft's Stream Service proxy, and CVE 2023-29360 is a local privilege escalation within Windows TPM device drivers. In both cases, researchers at Checkpoint mentioned that the malware started exploiting the vulnerabilities using an unknown exploit less than a month after security updates were disclosed publicly. For CVE 2023-36802, this was June 13th of 2023, and for CVE 2023-29360 was September 12th, 2023. Now, the latest variants also includes a new anti-analysis, as well as additional invasion and lateral movement mechanism in order to circumvent security measures and operating system defenses. The malware also attempts to terminate the run legacy CP elevated.exe, which is associated with the user account control, and also manipulates the NT trace event API to avoid detection by event tracing for Windows. Now, we believe that all malware such as this undergoing constant and active development, such as Raspberry Robin, will continue to evolve, with new exploits being added to its arsenal, as well as new tactics and techniques being added for evasion of detection. For the current iteration of Raspberry Robin, we have added indicators of compromise to our MISP platform, which is being pushed out to all supported detection technologies for our clients. Our recommendations are to ensure that there is either an EDR gap on all endpoints within your environments to assist with detecting suspicious behavior at the earliest part of the chain as possible, and being able to mitigate those as quickly and react to them as quickly as possible. That's all from me. Thank you, Keith. Back to you.
Thanks, Nikesh. Yeah, EDR tools and detection are so important for something like this. I really appreciate the feedback. So now let's dive into our malware chronicles with Dave and BUMBLEBEE Loader. Dave?
Thank you. BUMBLEBEE is a malware loader that first became prominent in 2022. It is used by multiple criminal threat actors. Perhaps the most notable actor to use a malware is a initial access broker who provides access to the Conti ransomware operation. The tool can run executable files as standalone processes or process, inject libraries and shellcode. It uses its own custom packer to obfuscate its code. BUMBLEBEE is usually distributed as an attachment within a phishing email, often in 2 layers of encapsulation in the form of an ISO disk image containing a zip file. Malicious Word documents have also been used, but to a lesser extent. Also, BUMBLEBEE was one of the malwares taking advantage of SEO poisoning trend in 2023, where malicious MSI files were Trojanized. Execution normally relies on an unsuspecting victim clicking on the malware, usually an LNK file containing a hidden PowerShell script that either runs a DLL payload that's supplied alongside the LNK or has the capability to download the DLL first. Run DLL32 is a DLL execution client of choice. For persistence, BUMBLEBEE will set up a scheduled task via a script to trigger execution with Run DLL32. Looking for suspicious ISO files in emails and identifying process execution chains containing LNK files and Run DLL32 or similar tools may help detect the malware. Thank you, Keith.
Thanks, Dave. Really appreciate the information. With that, we're going to dive into some ransomware roundup with Sarah. So we have a lot to report in ransomware roundup today, Sarah. It's some really exciting news that I think you're going to be willing to share. So let's get into it. Over to you, Sarah.
Thanks, Keith. Yes, the most exciting news we will save best for last, but for right now, main story of the Romanian hospital suffering from a ransomware attack. So there were around 100 different hospitals in Romania that have been affected by this attack, which led all of these healthcare facilities to take their systems offline. The threat actors that engaged in this attack took the HIS systems and utilized Back My Data ransomware that encrypted hospital data. So while 25 of the facilities have confirmed that they were targeted from this attack, there were 75 other facilities that used the same systems, which led them to taking those systems offline as a precaution so they wouldn't suffer any other type of attack if they were next. So since those healthcare facilities had to take their systems offline, the hospital staff had to then start going back to documenting pen and paper just to kind of keep everything on track. And they were saying that even though most of the affected hospitals, they do have backups of the data they were on different servers from the affected servers. A lot of these servers also recently updated as of 1, 2, or 3 days ago before the attack. So likely stating that most of the data is safe, even though some of those servers were encrypted. It is unknown what ransomware group has conducted this attack. There have been no healthcare facilities claimed on any data leak sites, so we're still monitoring those just to see what group is responsible behind the attack. The ransom note also didn't declare the name of the group. They were just stating that the data would be sold if the 3.5 Bitcoin ransom isn't paid, And also within that ransom note, they just provided an email address for the victims to communicate with the threat actors. So again, we're still monitoring this one just to see what group is claiming this attack. And then for our next story, just a quick update that our analysts, they recently observed a ransomware variant called Red Rock. It's encrypting victims with a .rr file extension. So based on the team's review of the malware code and the subsequent encryptor, the strain does not appear to be linked to any known malware families right now. So again, this is still ongoing and new. We're assessing that since there's little to know about this group or little out there about this group, that this actor's, likely new, and this is kind of a new entrance into RAS operations for this threat actor. So again, we're monitoring this just to see what may come of this new variant. And then our last but not least story, Lockbit has been seized by law enforcement. So if anyone has seen this big news recently, this happened overnight and today. The Lockbit ransomware group had their operations disrupted by law enforcement. So the task force is going by Operation Kronos, and it includes agencies such as NCA, FBI, Europol, and different law enforcement groups from Canada, Australia, France, Germany, Switzerland, Sweden, Finland, Netherlands, and Japan. So according to Europol, at present, vast amount of data gathered throughout the investigation is now in possession of law enforcement. This data will be used to support ongoing international operational activities focused on targeting the leaders of this group, as well as developers, affiliates, infrastructure, and criminal assets linked to these criminal activities. So with everything being claimed from law enforcement, such as the seizure of the data leak site, 34 servers, cryptocurrency account closures, they obtained decryption keys. 2 arrests have also been made for individuals, one residing in Ukraine and the other in Poland, and additional international arrest warrants and indictments have been issued for other individuals in the United States and France. So as of right now, if anyone is on the Lockbit data leak site, you are directed to a splash page. And then law enforcement's been having fun with different homepage of the Lockbit page, because when Lockbit posts information of a victim company, they usually have a timer countdown and whatnot. So now law enforcement has different sections of the Lockbit site with different countdowns of when they are closing the site, when they are releasing further information about more of these seizures happening. So the threat actors are also claiming that law enforcement exploited a PHP remote code execution vulnerability. This vulnerability is CVE 2023-3824. And they're saying that they utilized that to gain access, but stated only the servers using PHP were compromised and not their alleged backup servers. This is coming from the threat actors, so we're not exactly confirmed if all of the servers were seized or if some of the threat actors do have backup servers. There's also claims that affiliates are receiving messages from law enforcement when they log into their ransomware panel, stating that their operation has been seized along with their data. So there is a lot going on with this Lockbit seizure. It's very big because Lockbit has been around for a long time and is a very large group. So we are continuing to monitor this situation and break down all the new information that's coming out about it. So that's all for me, Keith.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, this is great. What collaboration between law enforcement agencies to get everything going. And as we had talked in our briefing, which we have this week, as our quarterly threat landscape report that's going to be coming out. We talk about some stuff like this, and Lori and her team really get it and dive into it. And I think it's great that law enforcement has this opportunity to seize everything. So I would like to thank everybody that's taken the time to tune into Kroll's In the Trenches Cyber Threat Weekly. In the Trenches Weekly Cyber Threat Intelligence Briefing. I would also like to take the time to wish a very good friend of mine and colleague, Lori Iacona, a very happy birthday today. So happy birthday, Lori. We hope you found this session informative. If you have any follow-up questions about this briefing or any other questions, please contact the CTI team at cti@kroll.com. That's cti@kroll.com. Thank you again. And not only is it Lori's birthday, but it's National Love Your Pet Day. So please celebrate National Love Your Pet Day by cuddling up with your pet. Watch their favorite movie. It's a really good way to bond. So enjoy the day today. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Take care.